All right, we're live. Tap and Birdie, PGA Championship with the world famous, the OG. I'm joined by Pat Mayo tonight. Could not be more excited to talk with such an influential person in the industry. Pat, how you doing?
You were the only person for the past 5 months to ask me to come on their show, so I had to say yes.
Absolutely. I don't know why that would be the case ever. You're such a great person to talk to, and you put out content that is appointment viewing for me every single week. So it is an absolute pleasure to be joined by you tonight.
Well, I'm just happy to be in the guest role. I don't have to carry the show. That's on you.
Yeah, no, I kind of felt that like going on your show. I feel a little less pressure having you, I'm kind of the one steering the conversation when I went on your show. I was very nervous. It was a little bit different, but now I'm glad, I have you in my court right where I want you. I think it will be a much better situation for me.
Should I be nervous? Is that what you're getting at?
Absolutely. I hope your heart is beating so fast right now. I mean, this podcast, it's unbelievable. So I'm just glad that we could be joined. And I kind of stole your bit a little bit. I am wearing a nice floral Hawaiian shirt as an ode to you. You always have the best t-shirts, always the best wardrobe in the industry. So I figured I'd put on a Hawaiian shirt tonight.
I like it. I don't think I've ever worn a Hawaiian shirt, and I don't think I've worn a button that low since I was in my mid-20s. So congratulations to you. I can't rock that anymore.
No, you got to have the buttons down a little bit. Don't want to be tightened up so much. I know you like kind of the floral print. I had one that was perfect. I just was a little wrinkly. I couldn't rock it tonight for the show. So we're going to do the next best thing for the show. So I want to ask you how your trip to France was. I know you're coming back from a little bit of a vacation. Was the rest much needed? I know you put out a lot of content. So was France a good time?
It was. As you can see, people don't notice this quite as much on my show because I'm just doused in makeup on my show because I have a massive sunburn. And that should tell you how well the trip went. It was great. It was the first time I think my wife and I got away since we had kids. And our oldest is 3.5 now. So yeah, it was nice to get away and not have to fill out DraftKings lineups. Not that I don't like filling out DraftKings lineups, but 1 week off out of 4 years, it was fantastic.
Yeah, when you're talking to guys like Jeff and Cust all day, you need a little relaxation. You need a little time by the pool, time by the oceans. Just chill out, not be sweating 3-footers from Luke List, and just enjoy the little things in life a little bit. I think that's always very important.
And I can get back to sweating 3-footers from Luke List this week, so it's like nothing's changed.
It's really like nothing's changed. So before we get into the board, before we get into all the great options we have some housekeeping to go over. First off, I want to say, so very quick promo. If you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts for Tap and Birdie, you will be entered into a contest, and I will pick a winner, and I will give you $250. One person. So go do that. Just send me a screenshot. I trust that you'll put it in. Just send me a screenshot of the 5-star review, and you're in. The second thing.
Hold up. Where'd you get that idea?
It's a really revolutionary idea. I'm the first to think about it. It absolutely was not from a guy named Pat Mayo. So I came up with the idea. I think it's pretty savvy. So we're going to test it out this weekend. We'd like to give away some money, and hopefully it won't be money. It will be money that we win this week because it's always tough when you got to Venmo the bookie and do some sort of giveaway. So the next thing, as always, we are presented by BetSperts Golf. And they are doing an absolutely unbelievable promo right now. So I'm going to share it on my screen.
Let's see it. Get it up there.
So
I'm leaving my rating and review for Tap In Birdie right now.
This is the second time Paige Sporanic has popped up on the Tap In Birdie feed. So if you join the BetSperts Golf newsletter, you are entered in a chance to win a round-trip flight, 2 days accommodations and meal at the Geneva National Resort, and you get to play one round of golf with Paige Sporanic. I don't know who wouldn't want to do this. The winner is announced Monday. Go check it out. It's an absolute no-brainer. It's kind of my girl. They're kind of stepping in my boundaries, but it's okay. I'll allow it. I will allow it. So go sign up for that. Go leave a 5-star review for TIB like Mayo is doing right now. And, that will cover one of your outrights for this week. So I think it's a perfect time to get into it. We both did a little preview pod talking to someone that's close to the course. So I don't want to get into all the minute details of Southern Hills. I want to talk about the golfers because there are just so many wonderful options and so many great options at the top. And there's no better person to start it off with than Scottie Scheffler. I've been going back and forth all week as to whether or not to bet him at 12-1 or not. And I can't figure out if it is the square play or if it is the sharp play to bet Scottie Scheffler. Pat, am I chasing something that already happened with Scottie?
I don't know. I'm in the exact same spot you are. I can't figure out what the fuck to do with them. So no is going to end up being my answer. I think like him and Rahm, I just feel so. I mean, are we talking about betting or are we talking about DraftKings? I wasn't listening.
Betting 100%, someone to start my outright card with because
I'm not going to bet a guy 11-1 at a major. I'm just not doing it.
I totally understand that, but I don't see a single universe in which Scottie Scheffler is not in this tournament. Like your partner, Jeff, talked about, this was the event that I think a lot of people were very high on him coming into the year and in a major that he would excel at. And we're talking about a very difficult around the green game, and we're talking about an Augusta comp around the green. There was nothing more impressive in his Masters win than his around the green game. So he has that going for him. He has 2 top 10s in his last 2 PGAs before he was this unbelievable number 1 player in the world. I just don't see a scenario in which he's not in it on Sunday. But I feel like I'm using the logic that I should have used at the Masters, and I'm chasing something that already happened, and I'm beating myself up for the fact that I didn't bet him at the Masters, and I don't want to miss it again. But as you know, it's extremely hard to go back-to-back in majors. So it's just a very difficult decision that I haven't really found the answer to yet.
I think it just depends on what you want to do down the board. If you want to take more guys and take some more shots, I mean, you have to think about what your overall budget for the week is going to be. And do you want to blow it all on Scottie Scheffler? Like 1 Scottie Scheffler equals 3 Dustin Johnsons right now.
Yeah, no, and that's really, it's Scottie or betting like Xander and Cam and getting those 2 guys or just betting Scottie. It's just tough. And, I think in DraftKings, I will be there because I just think he's as a sure thing as a lock as possible to be in the top 10 come Sunday. And obviously that would be a lot to pay off at his price point, but it's really a tough decision that and Cuss being on him, do you think Cuss being on him, is that actually one of the sharper picks he's had? Or do you think he's just he's the best player in the world? He should be the favorite, even though he is. Where do you think his mind's at for his pick on Scottie?
He saw him win the Masters, and in Tim's mind, that means he'll never lose a major again. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not too much to worry about. So,
next guy, hold on a second. It's a lot to worry about.
I mean, is that the answer? That's the answer? Cuss picked him. I can't throw $100 on him to win outright. It's just not going to happen like that.
I mean, you can throw $100 on him if you want to win outright. You're probably just not going to see that $100 back.
Yeah, but we lose every week, so it's fine. I'm fine losing that hundo. So Rahm, you could get him at 12-1. Would you give him the mantle of this week as a little bit of a forgotten elite? I feel like he's not getting as much buzz as he was at the Masters and as he was early in the year. And I think that, again, when we're talking about betting guys at 12-1, I think it's a tough task. But, where are you at with Rahm this week in DraftKings and in betting?
In betting, he has to be somewhat of the forgotten guy because he keeps following it down the board. He opened as the favorite on DraftKings at 10-1. He's now down to 14-1. He's now behind Rory. He's behind Scheffler. He's the same as Spieth. I mean, Rahm and Scheffler have been the 2 best players in the world, but it feels like that group is really close. How much I think that Rahm is the best player in the world, but how much better is he than Cantlay? Honestly, a little bit. Does Cantlay have half the win equity that Rahm does. I don't think that he does. Like, I think that Morikawa and Hovland and Thomas and Rory, they're all a part of this cluster. So it does seem like, listen, that's not to say that Rahm's not going to win or Scheffler's not going to win, but if we're betting on it, we might as well get, I mean, none of these outright bets are good value. Everyone knows that. But at the same time, when you can get guys down the board at double, triple the odds that are still a part of that same tier, I think that's the move. At least that's what I'm doing. But as you mentioned, I lose every week, so don't trust me.
Yeah, it's just really tough. It's really a matter of, betting a guy like Rahm or Scheffler or getting two guys that could possibly, be in the mix. So my gut is gut beginning of the week was bet Scotty. Gut later in the week is just that I'm chasing something that already happened and would be okay missing out on it. So I know that you love to bet Collin Morikawa. I know he's been very profitable to you. I know that you've hit him in majors before, and I don't think that is changing this week. You are betting Collin Morikawa, arguably the best iron player in the world, outright this week. Was that an easy bet for you to make this week, and was that really a no-brainer?
Yeah, it always is. Just, you're going to know if he shows up with any sort of short game and putting, he's probably going to win. Now, that doesn't happen all that often because he's a terrible putter and a terrible chipper. But when it goes his way, he's not like the break-even type guy, right? So he might lose 5 strokes putting, 3 around the green, whatever, and dominate ball striking. That's basically what happened to him at the Heritage. He comes T26, you lose your money, you move on to the next week. But he does have these 7 strokes gain putting weeks, and he'll chip in 3 times, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, if he does that, if he does half that, he's going to win this week. So I think that he is the most consistent. He's the best player when you're talking about on a per round basis since 2015. There's no one with a better per round average and all across strokes gained than Collin Morikawa. Like, just go look at his major track record. It's immaculate. So it comes down to these things where every single major we get close to, everyone realizes how good Morikawa is. And then the week comes and everyone's like, wow, he can't win. And then you see his odds drop from 14 to 18 to 20. I'm staring at a 25 right now. I might as well just wait till tomorrow, get a 28 on it or something like that. Like, he has the same win probability as the top guys. Like, Scheffler and Rahm might be a cut above right now. And Scheffler especially with the way that he's been playing. But if we just neutralize everything, go into this as a fresh event, it's a new spin of the roulette wheel, that Morikawa is top 5, top 4, top 3 based on how often he wins. So I see no reason not to go back to him.
Absolutely. I think that's a great case. And I think with so much emphasis on short game and that these green and regulation percentage is going to be low, like, there's a case to be made that you might as well just take the guy that's going to hit the most greens. And that very, very well could be Collin Morikawa. I really think there's no denying that. I think it will be the same case at Brookline in a couple weeks with the same similar, very small green. So, Xander was talking about it a little bit at his press conference today, and he was just like, just hit as many greens in regulation as possible because the chipping, the up and down percentage is so low that you might as well just take the most talented ball striker. So, Collin Morikawa, and in fact, especially the fact that he's drifting so much, and on some of these local books, he's got a 2 next to his name. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I like that play, of course, and it's always hard to make a case against Collin Morikawa, especially in majors. The next guy, you get an 18-1 on him on the preferred DraftKings Sportsbook right now, and that's Justin Thomas. After betting him at Waste Management and the Masters at 14-1, I vowed to myself that I would never bet JT under 20-1 again, because he just doesn't seem to do it for 4 days in a row, and he's always so close, but he never gets the job done. And we talk about the win equity with Collin Morikawa. I feel like obviously JT is a prolific winner, but he hasn't been in quite some time. So when you talk about having to front so much money for a guy under 20-1, it's just very hard to do that for me anymore with Justin Thomas, just for the fact that he just can't seem to get it done recently. And obviously it's going to turn around, but I'm at the mindset that he's just going to have to do it without me this week.
I'm with you. I'm not going to Justin Thomas. I see that Hovland's the same number as JT on DK. I see a 30 on Hovland elsewhere. Like, it's not that I prefer Hovland, but you're not seeing these deep of like drifting odds on Thomas. Like, when it comes to DraftKings, like fantasy, he's going to be one of the highest owned guys. In betting, like 18 is probably the best on the market that you're going to find. Maybe you could find a 20 somewhere. But with Hovland, I mean, the case that we just kind of spelled out is if it's going to be hard for everyone to chip, take the guy who just hits the most greens in regulation. Why wouldn't that be Hovland? Like there's been so much pushback against how shit he is around the greens, which is true. But if everyone's going to be shit around the greens, doesn't that help him?
I think it does equalize the playing field a little bit. And, and again, you're getting an absolutely excellent number on him. Everyone has access to, on FanDuel right now, you can get a 28-1 on him. It's even going up even more to a 30. So, again, like we just talked about, that's the price of 3 Scotty Schefflers or Jon Rahm. And, Hovland, again, I think that the narrative and everything around him is that with around the green game being so important this week that people are just going to have a hard time going to him and betting him. Now, his ownership, like, do you think he's going to get that much of an ownership break this week at his current price point and with the general sentiment that, short game is just going to be so important this week?
Yeah, I think we see him in single digits.
You think he'll be that low, especially with the people, he's around? I think that totally makes sense. I think that Rory at 10K flat, I mean, he's a hard person not to start your lineup with. Obviously gained the most strokes around the green at Augusta, obviously has been great at Augusta. And I said this before, it's like, he can't win the Masters. So like, why not win on a kind of similar course that, has some similar around the green game. So
yeah, but hold on. He gained like 5 strokes around the green just on Sunday.
Yeah, but that happens though. But
that happens. That can happen to anyone in the field and is completely unpredictable.
Absolutely. I understand that, but I have no exposure to Rory this week. He's someone I'm just going to miss out on. If he wins his first major championship in 8 years, like, so be it. Like, I'm fine with that. And that's, again, kind of just why I'm not playing Rory. I'm not playing him at DraftKings or anything, because he just would have won a major. Like, he just would have won a major in the last 8 years. But obviously he's playing some wonderful golf. So what are your overall thoughts on Cam Smith this week? Because I think that I've been listening to a lot of pressers. I've been listening to a lot of what some golfers are saying, and they're saying it actually is a little bit forgiving off the tee. Gil Hansen, his renovation, opened up the fairways a little bit. It's not a Bethpage Black. It's not a Torrey Pines with these, pencil thin fairways. You can kind of get away with things off the tee. Obviously, you have to be in the right position off the tee and in the right side of the fairway. So he kind of has that angle going for him, is that the fairways might be a little forgiving. And then you have the short game angle where he easily, in my opinion, has the best short game on tour and is one of the best putters on tour. So he's kind of one of those guys where if I'm not betting Scotty, Cam Smith is kind of the first one in there. And I think I could get a 25-1 on him. I think it's a great play. I just worry a little bit that he peaked. I think he might have peaked, at the Players and then into the Masters. And we're due for a little bit of a letdown with this Aussie.
Well, obviously the letdown is probably more than anything. He missed the cut at the Heritage. Who cares? He's already won twice this year, 3rd at the Masters. But we've only seen him play one real event since the Masters. And really, it's because he couldn't chip or couldn't putt, which is super atypical. I think it's really funny. Because I went into the week being like, from a DraftKings, I'm not going to bet Cam Smith. But I went into the week thinking about Spieth. Like, what would be a good number to bet Spieth? Obviously, that number just didn't exist anymore as soon as the week started and he came second last week. So I was like, all right, let's see what the price is on DraftKings. I'll use Spieth on DraftKings. And then all of a sudden he's going to be like the most popular guy on DraftKings. And I found it funny because I got this pushback about Vic because I'm betting Victor to win. And I wrote him up in Golf Digest. So a lot of people saw them like, you can't chip. You might as well not even play. You can't win. It's like, okay, fuck off. And like, if he doesn't have his best ball striking week, he wasn't going to win anyway. If he's missing that many greens in regulation, who cares at that point? If it's not that I'm betting him to come in 8th place, I'm betting him to come in 1st place. So things need to go well for him if he wants to win. But the entire pushback was he can't chip. but no one's taking Cam Smith. So Cam Smith over Spieth on DraftKings is definitely the move, considering he's going to be like half the ownership. But everyone wants to talk about scrambling, so important, irons, putting. But no one wants to use the guy who's probably the best at those three things combined once you take driving out of the equation.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was listening to his presser, and he was talking about how he's been focused on, hitting the ball less far, but just more accurately. And obviously these guys are pretty good, and I'm sure he can figure that out. But I think in DraftKings, it's an absolute no-brainer. You pay the extra $100 for Cam Smith over Jordan Spieth. So, we haven't talked.
I asked this to Rick earlier today. If you had to make you're the book of Kirsch, and I can go make bets at your book, and there's a head-to-head Cam Smith v. Jordan Spieth, what are the odds on that head-to-head for you?
I would put Spieth at minus 130.
All right. See, it's funny because Rick said Cam minus 130.
I think that Spieth has a lower floor. Who would you be more surprised if they missed the cut? Cam Smith or Jordan Spieth? I think it's easily Cam Smith, but
what are you talking about? It's easily Jordan Spieth.
I don't think so. I think Jordan Spieth will be in the top 10 this week. The way he's hitting the ball right now.
All right, so you got Scheffler inside the top 10, you got Spieth inside the top 10.
We got two right there.
10?
Maybe Corey Connors. Maybe Corey Connors. And then okay. I'd say those two, Spieth and Scotty, locked to be in the top 10 this week.
I mean, that seems somewhat crazy, but a lock to be inside the top 10. I don't see how I get why Spieth would be favored in that head-to-head if you're trying to draw action, but I mean, just go look at the past 18 months from both these guys. It's not even close. Cam Smith has been way better.
I'm not making that bet. I'm gonna have more money on Cam Smith this week, so it's okay. But that might go against my line that I just made up. But that's just kind of how I see it. But do you think Jordan Spieth will be the most highly owned golfer on the slate? Do you think it could be Decky? Who do you think the highest owned golfer on the slate is between, or is it 1,000% Spieth?
It's not 1,000% Spieth. It's probably Hideki or Cantlay if one of them, I have them about even right now in terms of my projections. But if the public gravitates to one over the other in a pretty big way, you could see Hideki at 26%, or conversely, Cantlay at 26%, and then the other guy drops down to 14 or something like that. If people make a distinction one way or another, because at least with Spieth, when you're looking at the overall, he has Rory pretty close to him. Rory's going to be very highly owned. Justin Thomas is going to be very highly owned. So you have those guys all in a cluster, and you can't play all of them together. But in terms of Hideki and Cantlay, there are lineups where you can play both those guys together if you really wanted to. So I think that's going to draw a lot of ownership up to them. And Lowry's right there as well, who I think is going to be uber popular.
No, absolutely. And that's why, when DraftKings pricing first came out this week, I think the price that stuck out the most, above $9,000 is unequivocally was Cantlay at $9,100. That just seems super cheap for a guy that finished in a playoff and won a team event just recently. His price seemed off to you when the pricing first came out this week, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to play Xander or Cantlay, so they can have fun with that.
My thing with
I don't want that money if they win. I just prefer they not win.
My thing with Cantlay is that when you look at the past major winners, they've all, other than, Colin's first, major winner, but he's proven to be unbelievable in majors. They've all had exceptional results in majors before they won. So, obviously Scotty had an unbelievable major year. Colin is a two-time major champ. Rahm was great in majors. Decky was great in majors. Then you go back even further, Cantlay just doesn't have that for me. And that's enough of a reason for me to be out on him. And he was talking about how he hasn't had enough reps in majors, and maybe that's why. But I'm just not going to bet a guy that, people, he top 3 at Bethpage Black. He was never in contention. He was never in contention to win that tournament. Had a decent showing at the Masters in 2019. Again, never really in, and maybe it was a little bit in contention.
Yeah, he was. I actually had money on Cantlay to win that Masters. He took the lead on the back nine, but he was like 9 holes ahead of everyone else. And there's a reason that he came ninth. Like he didn't even come close by the time it was over.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like we do this with Cantley, like every year, like every Masters, it's like Cantley's a play. Like, this is when he does it. And then he just doesn't play well. And then every single players, it's like, okay, we're going to bet Cantley. Like, this is the time he doesn't do it. And he doesn't do it. So I'm not going to hop on this trend really. And I'm kind of good with that. You're betting DJ? You're betting the second forgotten elite? Where are you on DJ this week?
Yeah, I'm betting DJ. I do worry. I've been looking at the win splits. I don't know how much I want to trust them. I think that I'll gear a few lineups on, but just, I'll play both sides of it. I'll play some AM, PM, PM, AM, hopefully get lucky in that circumstance. But it does look like he is on the shit side of the draw. He is on the bad draw. Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Brooks, Lowry, Rahm, Morikawa, Scheffler, Daniel Berger. Like, it's a tough scene out there for some guys that we all really like. So maybe that will limit. So like I was thinking about going like 75% DJ on DraftKings. I probably will bet the 35-1, be in on him. But then I start looking at the other side. Like the first guy that I bet this week was Zalatoris at 50-1. He's down to 33 now. You want to talk about the guys with the major resume, like that look like Scheffler's and look like Brooks's? It's Zalatoris. He has 4 top 10s in his past 6 majors.
I bet I bet the 365. Like, I bet the boost 40-1. I don't feel like I have a big ticket on it, but I DM'd you during the Masters and I said, I like Zalatoris, but you have to bet it with the each way.
I did not for this.
Well, I think obviously there's not a hot. I just think he has a way better shot at cashing the each way versus actually winning the damn thing. Like,
well, then you shouldn't be betting the each way. Just bet him top 10.
I'm with you, but I can't cash out the Zalatoris ticket. I was thinking about it, but you
can't because you have the each way. You can't cash it out.
Yeah, but yeah, Zalatoris, like I'm in with you on. And again, last week wasn't the week for it. I was stupid enough to bet him with it. That's fine. I'm moving on. I'm not gonna let last week's result, stop me from betting him this week. But again, if we're just talking about the guy that's going to hit the most amount of greens, it very well could be Will Zalatoris this week. And talking about a favorable side of the draw, if there is one, he has an early tee time on Thursday. He's a very comfy group with Hovland and Cam Smith, which I would pay so much money to just follow that group for 18 holes. Like, is there a better grouping other than, the Tiger grouping than those 3? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, the group, the group that's right out before them is the best group if you want to go watch people. Hatton, Bryson, and Homa. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that is just a problem waiting to happen. And I think that will be certainly a fun watch if you're there. And I think there's a lot to like from that. But look, if Willie Z's gonna do it, like you really don't think he'll get his first PGA Tour? Like, where do you foresee him? Obviously, Tour was his best chance to win a PGA Tour event thus far. Do you think it will come out of major before some random PGA Tour event?
I don't see what's the difference, to be perfectly honest with you. He's played his best in majors. That's where he's been the most competitive and had the outside of Torrey Pines, which was a major course last year. Like, he's going to win something that's like -8. He's not going to win something that's -27 or something.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's only so many difficult, events that aren't majors on the PGA Tour. So it's really tough to kind of overlook that. Decky, possibly the highest owned golfer, maybe, possibly, who knows? But he was the most tipped golfer this week. A lot of people are betting this. They have the 40-1 on him. You can get him down to maybe 32, 33. Is it enough, like, that he just shot a really great Sunday round and he's good on bent grass and he's a major champion for him to be getting all this love and buzz? Like, do you think that love for Decky is warranted? Because it all feels a little bit fast to me.
I think all people needed to see is that he was healthy, and I think that he proved that last week. If people want to say that he went out and lit up the bunny ranch, great. That's fantastic stuff. Like, great. We bet in Xander this week too then, because he was -11 on the easiest course of the year. Like, I like Decky. I feel like I can't bet him now because I missed the good 50s that everyone seems to be holding from last week when I was away. So I wasn't even looking at it. And now I just feel like, well, I don't want to bet the guy for 20 points less. I don't want to do that. Give me Dustin Johnson, who's been shitty for 6 months. Like that's who I want.
Yeah, no, and DJ, you could throw the forgotten elite on him, but I don't really know what's changed with him. Like the biggest narrative against him is that he just got married. Like, is that it? I mean, obviously he hasn't had his best stuff, but he was all right early in AT&T. Obviously was going to miss the cut at RBC, but he showed some life at the Masters. And again, you're getting into good number on him. And if you just want to bet the best numbers this week, then I think it's a fine play. But I don't get why he's just being completely overlooked. I think there's a world in which he's extremely popular.
I completely agree. This reminds me a lot of Harding Park, where he came in second, and no one wanted him that week either. I think my two main bets, I'm trying to remember the PGA vid that I did. I think it was Morikawa and DJ, and they came 1 and 2. I think it's the best week I've ever had in terms of predictions. But it was just like, DJ's good, and he's cheap, and no one wants to play him. That's a perfect recipe.
Absolutely. So at Morikawa at Harding Park, like, how was that a popular bet? Like, were a lot of people on that, like, just based on like the hometown like narrative? Like, what did you get him at? Like 40-1? Like, where was he that week? And like, he was a very highly owned golfer in DraftKings, if I'm not mistaken.
He was one of the more popular guys on DraftKings. I think people weren't quite there in the betting market. He cashed, I believe it was 35-1 for me that week. I'm trying to remind myself now because concession was 40-1. After, again, it was one of these situations, and we saw the same thing happen at the Open Championship last year, and he cashed to 40-1. Anytime that people say he can't do it at this course, he just wins. At least at Harding Park, he did have that narrative going in, but I think that people thought it was too early for him to do anything. So they weren't quite there with the money yet. There was a substantial amount of people who hit him outright. Like I saw the tweets just flooding my timeline of people who cashed Colin Morikawa, but I think was Bryson the popular guy that week? Can't even remember now. I just remember Dustin wasn't. And that was kind of strange to me when I kept I think Rory was actually Rory's the bet at every fucking major, by the way. Everyone loves Rory for every major and they just lose their money.
I completely agree. It's just like everyone's waiting for something to happen that just hasn't,
you want to talk about Zalatoris with the each way? Just bet the Rory each way.
Yeah, no, but then you got to front. I can't. You got to front some. But yeah, I think there's a good chance that I'm not going to say he's a lock to be in the top 10 because I already
said he's a lock. So
I already said 20%. No. I said I'm
lock?
not going to say that. I already said so. My quota is 2 out of 10 for a top 10 lock. I do have another one, but it's okay. It's fine.
Well, your other one is Corey Connors. You said that.
No, Corey. That was a joke. But Corey Connors, first round leader at last year at Kiowa. So we got to find this year's Corey Connors for the first round leader. I don't know who that will be because those are impossible to predict. But the guy that's absolutely on my betting card and that there's 1,000% chance that I'm betting him because I've literally bet him for the past 5-6 weeks is Shane Lowry. There's really a really hard case against him not continuing the success that he's been on. His approach numbers have just been unbelievable, just gaining over 4 on approach since his heartbreaking loss at the Honda. Has been decent around the greens. I was on him at the Masters. He won me a lot of money. I don't like the fact that he hasn't played the past 2 weeks, but if you just look at total strokes gained, ball striking over the past few months, Lowry is just really an easy call, and there would be nothing worse than betting somebody for so many weeks in a row, and then they go out and win when you're not on him. I got a 35-1 on him. I'll have the top 10. I'll have the top 20 on him as well because he's been continuously cashing that for me, and he's a major champion. He can play in the wind, and I'm just really impressed with his tee to green numbers recently, and there's no reason to hop off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a case against him. It's just how many people can you bet? That's the issue that I'm running into with Lowry. Like if I go Morikawa 25, Victor 30, DJ 35, Zalatoris 50, Do I want to throw on a Lowry? What do I have here in front of me? Let's see. What's the best number available? 35. I mean, it's not a terrible number. I could theoretically do that. But then that's the end. That's basically everyone that I've bet for the week. Or do I want to say, instead of Lowry, Neiman or Feno and guys that are just deeper down the board that I do like at the same time? I don't know if I can pull the trigger on that. Maybe I just bet those 4 guys, take a long shot or 2 with the big each way, and then maybe hit something in game as I see how the first round goes, or maybe I can catch someone napping. One of the books, at least, with the win play on Friday, whether that stays as a part of the morning draw and wipes them out, or you check in later that night and like, oh, it's actually not going to hit in the morning. It's going to hit in the afternoon. I can load up on 2 elite players in the morning before the books adjust and get in on it. So I'm still working through a few strategies here of what I really want to do this week. I know the 4 guys that I really like you can even throw Cam Smith on that. If there's a 25 on Cam Smith, I don't know. I'd probably pick Smith over Lowry, but you get 10 more points on Lowry.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I'm at. It's either like I need to make a decision as to whether or not I'm betting Scotty or not, because Lowry and Zalatoris are already on the card. And then, that it would probably be them and then basically just Scotty, or I could get Cam Smith and maybe another guy. And, that's my card, and give myself a little more options and a little more outs. So that, again, it's always a tough decision. So I got a little bit of pushback on Twitter. We're talking, and a few people with Neiman tickets. I was like, I think, Neiman can win and contend next week. He's a good bent putter. He's exceptional from tee to green. And people were like, he's horrible around the greens, basically just because he wasn't chipping well. And are playing well around the green at the Byron Nelson. But he's consistently, there's no doubt about it, he's improved his around the green games in the past year or so. And people are like, oh, well, when is Neiman, contended in a difficult event? I'm like, he was literally 2 shots out of a playoff at the BMW Championship in 2020 with a winning score is -4. So he's proven he can do it. Do you have any reservations or any concerns about Neiman's chipping, or is it a little bit overblown?
You mean the guy who hasn't lost strokes around the green since last year's Tour Championship? Yeah,
that's what I said. I'm like, he's literally like 4th in this field in strokes gained around the green. They're like, oh, it doesn't I'm like, okay.
Listen, it can be a faulty stat. I completely agree with that. But the reason I would look up Neiman for, you mentioned the bent putting. That's great. I just think that he's overall a better player right now. Whether really what sunk him on Sunday at the Byron Nelson was he couldn't hit any fucking iron shots. That was the problem. And then all of a sudden he has to scramble for par the entire time. He's not, when you're in a birdie fest and guys are shooting -11 and you're missing the green on your approaches, you're not going to win. You're not going to come inside the top 10. You're going to fall down the leaderboard, and that's exactly what happened. I'm with you with the BMW. I don't think Olympia Fields is a comp, but just you look at hard courses where he has played very well. He's played very good against top competition. He had that run when he lost in the playoff at the TOC as well. He plays really well in the wind. So I think that he's just kind of a grinder that can go out there, one of those elite upside grinders. Like, there's not that much differentiating Morikawa, Hovland, and Neiman. Neiman is the worst of those 3 guys, but it's not like he's crap. He's a really good player. So I like Neiman this week. He's on my short list of guys to bet. I don't love the number. 45 is I'd like a 60 or something like that. Yeah. So that might be the hesitation that I have of getting there with him. But the guy just went out and tuned one of the best fields of the year at Riviera, one of the hardest courses, and broke the scoring record.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jeff chimed in, and I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm getting some backup on this. I got it, but that's Twitter. People are gonna disagree with you, and that's fine.
People really like to disagree with you. They really do.
Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit, but not really. I like to, have fun. Now that I've, smoking a little less pot, drinking a little bit less, I'm less agitated on Twitter. You got to let things go, not respond to everything. I think I've made that mistake a little bit too early. Sometimes.
Everyone has to work through that. I just don't even look at it anymore.
Yeah, no, I would like to get there one day, but it's fun to waste time and just sit on Twitter. It's very addicting. Like the dopamine, it's tough. it's tough. I'm working through it. It's something I'm trying to be better at. But as we move, the Canadian Corey Conners, I brought him up before. If it's going to be a tee to green fest, if want guys that are good at Augusta, I don't see a reason why Corey Conners, can't play well. I think he's someone to play in your DraftKings lineup. Do I see him winning this event? No. Do I think he could finish in the top 20? Absolutely. It's Corey Conners. Where are your thoughts on him as a fellow Canadian?
I like him this week. I missed there was an 80 that they were floating at 365 as a bonus, like one of those, like, hey, here's one of these juice bets. And I really thought about it. I was like, is he really going to win? Probably not. He's probably a good top 10 bet. I don't think he's a lock like the 8 guys that you have mentioned so far. But I think this really, if you think that it plays out the way that obviously we seem to think it's going to play out, that makes the team no putt guys very live this week. I do worry that like he can't putt and he can't chip. That's a real problem. At least with Hovland, he can't chip, but he's been one of the best putters on tour this year. So that is somewhat of a mitigating factor that if it's difficult to get it up and down and the people aren't leaving in tap-ins for par at this course, they're leaving themselves 4 and 5 footers. Well, guys are going to miss some of those. Even the best putters are going to miss some of those. And if Vic is just leaving himself with 7 or 8 footers, he just needs to have a good putting week. Then all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. With Conners, if he can't get it close and he has 6, 7 footers, well, he's going to miss those putts. And now he's just making bogeys the entire time. That's what happens if he starts missing greens. But if he has one of these supreme ball striking games, and just like Neiman, he's played hard courses really well.
Yeah. No, I think Conners is a great play. I think he'll be in my DK pool. But the guys I'm really interested in, and when the pricing first came out, I just put out, who I thought were the most mispriced golfers. And 2 people I put on that list were Tony Feno and Matt Fitzpatrick at $7,900. I think there's an absolutely excellent case to be made for both of these golfers. I think they should be in your DraftKings lineups. Outright's very tough, to get there. But who do you prefer out of those 2 who I think will be a factor this week?
I think Fitzpatrick's the better play objectively, but once you start factoring in ownership, I think he's going to carry a lot more than Finau. Because Finau, listen, you want to talk about guys that are like more likely to miss the cut than another? Tony Finau is a prime candidate to miss the cut this week. Although Cuss said he has no chance of winning, which could be the best hope he's ever had in his life. So I think that if he comes in with supremely less ownership, and I'm talking about like Fitzpatrick at 16, 17%, Finau at 10, 11%, I'll gamble on Finau over Fitzpatrick, or you just play them together, something like that. Try to get creative with the way that you deploy them, because I'm with you. I like them, but I think that everyone kind of identifies that they are both good plays. It's the other guys around them I don't know what the hell to do with. Like you got Bryson, Tiger, Homa, Hatton, Louis, Webb, Answer, Scott, Leishman. Because people are using Cam Young, I think, because he's right there too. I like Leishman, and I've started to talk myself into Hatton because I'm a sucker. But doesn't this, like, just think about everything we've talked about this course. Why isn't Tyrrell Hatton someone that we're talking about? He has actually a really good distance, and he's kind of wild off the tee, but they've kind of mentioned that might not matter. He's one of the best long iron players in all of golf. He's great around the greens. He can be a very streaky putter. He plays difficult courses really well. He's great in the wind. It's just he's a hothead. So people are like, well, he can't win. But like if Shinnecock is going to be some sort of comp, I don't think that it is necessarily, but I've seen it thrown out. He was top 10 there. It's not like he has some really bad major performances, but he also has a bunch of top 10s in majors too. Like there's really no in between for him. He's either shit or he's really good. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's definitely a guy you would rather play in some difficult conditions. Obviously won at Bay Hill in extreme wind, in extreme difficult conditions. He was great at Bay Hill this year again, has some top 10s in majors. So I think that's a great play. And I'm confused with you as to why he's not, getting more buzz. And, the guys around him, I mean, there's just a lot of questions marks around Bryson and Tiger. I don't think playing Tiger and DraftKings really makes much sense, at all. And then Bryson, he's tweeting out, every single thing he feels this week. So, we're talking about transparency and if these guys are injured or not. Bryson's putting it all out there for people on Twitter. He tweeted, just wrapped up, ready to go at it again tomorrow. So, a lot of question marks in this range, but I like the call on Hatton.
I'm going to get there on DraftKings. He's 90-1 to win. I don't think
Yeah.
he's going to win, so I'm not going to bet it, but it's an intriguing number. Like, he's the same number as Keegan fucking Bradley.
Yeah. I like Keegan, though, this week.
Great. You going to bet him to win? Is he a lock to get
No.
inside the top 10?
Absolutely not. But I like him in DraftKings, and the fact that he's $100 cheaper than Cam Young, I think he's really the play in the sevens. I would like a placement on him. I'd like a top 20 on him.
Yeah, here's the thing. I am not playing chalk $7,500 Keegan Bradley.
How is he? Is he really going to be chalk?
I think he'll be owned more than Cam Young.
I disagree with you there. But we'll have to see. I think Cam Young will be more owned than Keegan Bradley, but I'm kind of a square. So if I really like Keegan Bradley at $7,500, then I wouldn't be surprised if other people think the same thing.
Those will be the two high owned guys of the mid seven. So they'll be close. I think that Keegan will slightly edge him out because he's cheaper. And when you think about the millionaire maker, and that's what we're talking about here. You have so many random people playing it. They don't know who the fuck Cam Young is. They know who Keegan Bradley is.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I do not play the Millie Maker. I'll be in the $200 and $100 single entry. So if one of them I'm not playing Cam Young. I'm just not doing it. I would just rather play Keegan Bradley or Tommy Fleetwood. I know Tommy Fleetwood's getting some buzz, and I know you hear it from Jeff all the time. So I feel like you're a little bit numb to Tommy Fleetwood love. Are you feeling any love for Tommy Fleetwood this week?
I'd rather play Leishman, who's right by him. That's really all I got. It's not that I dislike him. There are guys that I like a lot more. So he's just not going to make the cut for me.
I like it. That makes sense. So you are, the king of Luke List. Mm-hmm. Again, we're talking about tee to green players. I think he actually has a pretty decent around the green game. Are you going back to Luke List? Played well at the Wells Fargo, so he has a start in the last 2 weeks. I think that will be important. Where are you on Luke List this week? Obviously has a top 10 at Bethpage Black already at a tough PGA Championship. So where are your thoughts on him?
I bet him 225-1 with a top 8 each way. Come on now.
Just not even a question.
No.
225-1 with the each way could be a very nice payout.
Hey, I had him on the each way when he came inside the top 10 the last time. So him winning that, or him coming 6th at that PGA Championship, I think with his odds that week, I think he was 300-1. So with the 5th, it paid out triple what Brooks did. Now, I didn't have the same amount of money on it that I would have had on Brooks, but in terms of odds, it was just a good bet.
Absolutely. So are there any other long shots that is List your bomb of the week that you were looking at? Because again, I think my outright card is going to be a little bit concentrated at the top, but DraftKings top 20, some of those plays, who do you like more down the board?
So I bet Keith Mitchell and I bet Luke List 200-1, 225-1. But as I wrote up in my newsletter, which everyone should subscribe to and play in my listeners league, I lost all my friends in Ontario today. They can no longer play on DraftKings. So we need to fill up this contest because I have a high concentration of people in Toronto who generally play in this thing. So we really need to get the push to fill that thing up so I don't seem like an idiot. For every one that doesn't fill up, I have to pay DraftKings back.
That's a thing?
No.
But that's what we are going with this week, and that's why you should absolutely play in the best contest on DraftKings this week.
There we are. So the each ways, especially the top 8 each ways that they're offering at 365 right now, I don't have access to DraftKings Sportsbook where I am, so that's the main book that I've always been playing with. I got a bunch of books. That tends to be the best one where I tend to carry the most money. They pay out the fastest. It's really nice. You have it in Jersey, right?
I'm in New York. It's not in New York, but I have a couple friends I could get on 365. But I have access to all the regular legal books, and I have access to a book with each ways.
Yeah, and I think the only reason I said Jersey, I thought you were betting on that on 365 because I think they are available in New Jersey, a legalized book there. But I went and looked and compared the top 10 odds to the each way odds, the 1/5 each way on the 225-1. And it was like triple what the each way was paying on the top 10. Now, it's only top 8 places, but I had to make a smaller bet on the outright for Luke List with the each way than I would on the top 10. But obviously, I lose 2 places, so I have to factor that in. But I also get his winning upside if he just happens to win this week at 225 to 1. That seemed, at least in my mind, a better bet than just doing the top 10.
Yeah, no, and that's, it's always a question. Do I just bet the top 5? Because if it gets chopped, you really get nothing. But I feel like in the majors and the more difficult events, it's more likely that there's not going to be a bunch leaderboard at the top than, maybe a Zurich Classic or something like that. So I think the each ways in the majors are definitely a better move. Somebody I am maybe thinking about with an each way or, betting, placement absolutely will be a lock in my DraftKings lineup. But I'm worried that the secret's kind of out on Bobby Mack. I've played him.
No.
I've played him.
The secret's not out. Alex Noren is right there. Everyone's using Alex Noren. They're not going to care about Bobby Mack.
Okay, then Bobby Mack is absolutely the play. Let me just pull up FantasyNet. Okay, yeah. Okay, 7%. That's fine. That's okay. Sebastian Munoz is more than him.
8 for 8 in majors?
Yeah, I've played him again. You know this. When you play a guy and when you bet a guy and he makes money for you and he makes the cut and he wins you a lot of money in DraftKings like he did for me at the Masters just a few weeks ago, you're so much more inclined to bet him and play him the next week. I have absolutely no reason not to go back to Bobby Mack at $6,900. Again, like you just said, he's 8 out of 8 in majors. He's been all right at the PGA Championship, but the guy just shows up for events on the PGA Tour. And then if you even just look to this year, he finished inside the top 15 at the Genesis Invitational. So at a price point of $6,900, that's really just like a no-brainer for me. And, if I'm playing Scotty at the top, just lock in Scotty and Bobby Mack and, just kind of go from there, because that's really how I'm building lineups. And he's someone that will certainly be in a lot for me. Do you feel any Noren love? Do you think that's a good play at 7K flat?
Yeah, I do. I think that he's fine. I think that there's a bunch of guys in the 6s. I'll probably spread it out a little bit, but I do like Noren a lot. I like Vegas, who's right with Bobby Mack at the same price. I think that since he's come back from this injury, he's been really great. Cam Davis, Mito. The stats just love Mito. I'm probably going to have to roll with it. Cam Davis, I like in the wind. He's played well at shorter courses, but smaller greens, he tends to play a little bit better. He plays really well in the wind. He putts really well on bent grass, and he's getting absolutely no buzz whatsoever. Like Stuart Sink. Ryan Fox is someone that I'm going with. Probably a top 40 on Ryan Fox, but he's down at $6,300 on DraftKings. He just won over on the DP World Tour. He's another one that I backed at Shinnecock Hills, and I think he came like T36, but he's in really good form right now. So another Aussie, like Aussies in the wind. I really do think that's a thing. Like we've seen Aussies in Texas over the years do really well because of the swirling winds that go around that course and the heat. We're not too far removed from Texas. It feels like Tulsa is going to play very much in a Texas style with these winds, firm and fast, bent grass greens. The Aussies really are comfortable in these scenarios. So I think that both those guys can do pretty well. And then what do you think of Mac Hughes?
He's playing well. He's playing fine. I was watching him for a few holes at Wells Fargo. He was fine at the U.S. Open last year, so he has that little bit of major results. He's obviously someone you want to play in more difficult conditions, so there's no question as to why he was up in the leaderboard at Wells Fargo.
Yeah, like he was up the leaderboard at Wells Fargo. That tracks. He missed the cut at a Birdie Fest at the Byron Nelson. Okay, makes sense. He made the cut at the Masters. He made the cut at the Honda. He played well at Pebble Beach, a place with very small greens, which we're going to have this week. He was 15th at the U.S. Open, like you mentioned. He was 6th at the Open Championship last year as well. When it comes down to like the nitpicking with these guys, once I wait until deep, probably on Thursday morning when I end up staying up to do it all. But if guys are on the good side of the draw versus the bad side of the draw, I feel like that's going to end up being the tiebreaker. So I'm expanding my pool a little bit in the 6s and then really shrinking it down with some of these tiebreakers the closer that we get to lock. But he's still on the short list for me. By the way, I don't know if people know this. They probably do know this. But when it comes to top 5, top 10s, you're going to split your each ways and you're going to lose placement points due to the dead heat rules. We'll throw out if you're in the States and let's say you're in a state that doesn't have legalized gambling yet. Bovada doesn't have dead heat rules.
I've never bet a placement bet without full payments, like on placement bets. Like there's just no other way to bet it. Luckily, all the local books I'm on pay them out in full. There's just no other way to bet it. You don't have to sweat if a bunch of guys are on it. So I'm fully in agreement with you on that one.
Yeah, that's the site that doesn't like if there's I've always been paid out by Bovada, so they're not like my crookie where they're just not going to pay people if they win bets. I've never had a problem with that. When I hit my huge Willet ticket, it was at Bodog in Canada like 7 years ago. They sent me a check.
Absolutely. But you have 1000% sold me on Mac Hughes. So
I mean, I'm not even sold myself on Mac Hughes.
You have sold me on Mac Hughes. When you look at his stats, just compared to the people he's around, 6th in strokes game, short game, and 4th in strokes game putting, and he plays well in difficult conditions, has the major results to back it up. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm completely sold on it. I don't know where his draw is. I don't really care about that, but at $6,600, maybe a top 20 play on him, I could not be more sold on Mac Hughes. So that was an easy case for me, honestly.
He is in probably the best draw possible. He's out really early on Thursday and really late on Friday.
Mac Hughes, first round leader, 150-1. That's on the card. Add it. I don't want to mush this or anything, but I'm feeling really good about Mac Hughes. So I'm happy you brought him up because he's someone I will be putting in my DraftKings lineups. Another guy I just think has way too much talent to be at $6,800, and I think he's just been playing well, is Davis Riley. He'll be in some lineups for me. Again, just a guy to get you a 6 out of 6 through. He has 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts. 9th at the Byron, 5th at Mexico, 2nd at Valspar. Like at $6,800, like I just think he's someone that can make the cut. And, you know, he resides somewhere possibly in the South. So I think that's a no-brainer, really. So those are our low-price locks. Those are our guys to fill out your DraftKings lineups. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Pat, because I know you're a busy guy, and I know that you have talked about literally every single guy in the field with Rick Gehman, and I cannot wait to listen to that. So I appreciate you coming on tonight.
We didn't talk about Gary Woodland, who I kind of like this week.
He plays the course. He's from Kansas. The guy that I know that's a member there, he said he comes down and plays it. Gary Woodland has not been playing well. Like fundamentally, just has not been. I feel great. He hasn't been unbelievable.
I feel like that's pretty short-sighted. He did go through a stretch where he had what, like 3 consecutive top 5s,
and
like
I bet
2 months ago.
And I bet him. So, again, is Gary a guy? Obviously he's a major champion. Do you prefer him in more difficult conditions?
I feel like I do. Like Honda and Arnold Palmer are his 2 best performances this year. Those have been 2 of the 4 hardest courses this year.
I think that checks out. I think that definitely works for Gary, and he has familiarity with the course. Again, betting the outright, I think it's a little bit tough. But I think someone to fill out your DraftKings lineup, I think he makes sense. So I know it's early, but who are your absolute 3 guys? Like, who would you say your core is right now in your DraftKings lineups? Is Colin one of them?
Not as much, just because of the price. It's Zalatoris for sure is probably going to be my highest owned guy because he's $8,900. That just works out really well with what I'm trying to accomplish with all of my lineups. And a lot of it might be affected by the tee draw at the same time. So I really like Zalatoris. He's going to fall in the good wave. I'd say after that, it'll be DJ, Victor, and Morikawa. Like those guys will just be paired with Zalatoris in different combinations over and over. So that's where I feel like I'm getting to right now. And then just take a look at my favorites right now. I still have to cull the list a little bit. Yeah. List. I'll have a ton of List. I just think he makes a lot of sense. Like ending my lineups with Woodland, List, or Noren. I like the way that those builds work for me. And if I have to drop down, like you mentioned, Bobby Mack, Vegas, Mito, Cam Davis, Mitchell, Sink, Hughes, Fox, they can be sprinkled in if I want to go up. Because if I play 50 to 100 lineups, which I probably will end up doing, then I'm looking at, I can go above Morikawa if I want to, because he's the highest price guy that I have selected right now to build out all these lineups. Now, I do want to keep everything more concentrated, but at the top end, it's pretty thin. It's Morikawa, Hovland, Dustin, Zalatoris is like the core four, with like Cam Smith and Lowry and Neiman all kind of like shuffled in there with different combinations of lineups, but they're going to be owned at a far lesser extent than the other guys. So I might be like 60%, 60%, 50%, 50%, 20, 20, 20 on those other guys, and then just try to fill it out at the bottom with relatively the same players.
Absolutely. I think you're for a big week. And I know for a fact that the last time we were on a pod together, you had one of your best weeks of the year. So I like, I'm a huge trend guy. I like that trend.
Were you on the Torrey Pine show?
Yes, I came on your Torrey Pine DraftKings show. So you're due for a big week. Absolutely. 1000%. So actually for one winner and then one person that absolutely will not win, but he has to be a top guy. So one winner.
Hovland, the winner.
Okay.
Xander, dead last.
Xander absolutely 1000% will not win this tournament.
Yes, correct.
Love it. I absolutely love it. I'll go winner. Shane Lowry, absolutely not going to win. John Rahm. That might be a cheap answer, but he's 12-1 for a reason. But Pat.
Oh, hold on. As we were talking, I've been like, I wasn't planning on betting many first round leaders, but I think I just found like six pack of first round leaders we can go with here. Hear me out. Cam Davis, Bobby Mack, Fox, Vegas, Hughes, and Woodland. First round leaders.
Just all bombs, all early waves, all guys that might not win the tournament, but they can get out to a hot start and they could surprise everyone for a first round leader. Usually the PGA Championship, has a lot of surprises, a lot of first time winners, and a lot of head scratching on Thursdays. So I like those first round leader plays. You got to add it to the card. I know you will.
I'm thinking about it. I'm tinkering around. I vowed to give up first round leaders because I was just losing so much money. And they used to be my bread and butter too. And like, I've been so bad at them recently over like the past 18 months. I just stopped playing them. But it's major time. People want picks. It's all they want. Whether they win or lose, they prefer they win, but they'll tail them either way.
Yeah. I'm kind of in a Matthew Wolff mindset this week. I'm just out here to have fun. I'm not trying to win. I've kind of given up, winning, and it's very tough to do. I just want to have fun and I want to bet the guys that I want to root for. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're all, doing to a certain extent. But
wait, you telling me, hold on, are you telling me you are not a professional golf gambler?
I wouldn't say that I am. I have a full-time job that pays my bills. So
no.
So
I am not a professional golf gambler. I just like to bet on golf.
I think sometimes people, think differently and they like this is fun. Like I like having interests and hobbies outside my work. And I like talking about golf with talented and interesting people like yourself and many others. So it's not that sometimes people make it really serious. It's not that serious.
No, it's serious. If you have a problem, then you should stop doing it. Listen, I'm betting money I don't want to say I can just afford to lose. If I lost every single week, it wouldn't be great, but I'm putting my entertainment budget into betting golf. And really it gives me a lot of pleasure. Like I'm going to be out on the course on Thursday and Friday. I have this, I went out and I bought one of those automatic walking carts because I don't want to fucking pull shit. So I have my iPad that I can just strap into it and just watch the PGA Championship while I'm playing golf. It's going to be great.
That sounds unbelievable. As someone that loves to golf, loves to walk on the course, I'm always jealous when I see the people with the automatic carts. So that was an easy decision for you to make. And I think the iPad is really brilliant, but how easy was it for you to make the decision for the automatic cart that just follows you?
I just call up one of the companies and be like, hey, I'm Pat Mayo. Do you want to advertise on my show? Send me a card.
So you got it for free. It was not a big investment for you.
It was not. No. I mean, I guess I have to invest my time to do an ad read.
Yeah, no, but that when you're successful like yourself, the time and you get a lot of money for your time. So I think that's
Gersh, would there be any, like, if you were me and you had the ability to, and this doesn't work with anything, golf, it really works for me with, because I have a big golf audience. So people do want to advertise with me. But if you could just like get free stuff, why? My Helix mattress is coming soon.
absolutely. The goal is obviously to be at that point at sometimes, but I think that's a fair shake and a fair trade. Honestly, so what did you do before you did fantasy content? Like, what did you do like when you graduated? Did you ever just like work like a regular office job?
No, I smoked a lot of weed and lived off my savings. I played poker for a while, and not online either, at my local casino. I was basically a freeloader.
So you graduated college and you played a bunch of poker and smoked pot and
also had a drinking problem. That was on there.
okay. So do you not you don't drink? You're off it?
No, I still drink now. I just don't drink a lot.
So you cut. That's wonderful. I hope to be there one day and get some free. I'm really jealous of the motorized car. I always see them out, and I like to walk. So that is the next investment. Maybe if I hit that right this week, I will get one of those. But
I think they're like $1,100 for like that. That's like the standard of good one. And then anything like you can get them up to like $5,000 if you want. But I think like the barrier is like $1,000 if you're going to spend on it.
Okay.
You're probably going to get a pretty good one if you do that. Like anything below that, it's probably like the one thing I will say, because I actually asked a bunch of people who have them or have like, one of the remote ones that do whatever, but don't get ones with inflatable tires. Get one with like both all-terrain tires, but ones that you don't need to put air into. They're just like plastic or rubber or whatever the fuck they are. That don't need to inflate them. Because I have one guy who he loves his, but he has to pump air into the tires like every second round.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No one does.
I enjoy my regular push car. It's got the 3 wheels. I enjoy, a nice round out, walking. I don't want to be sitting in a car. You have more time to think about your next shot. You're not rushed. So I'm a big proponent of walking on the golf course. So we'll have to play around. I don't know when or where or anything like that, but I think it would be pretty great. And I appreciate you coming on. It was a great pod, and I hope you had a good time.
I had a great time. Listen, people forget how fun it is to be a guest on things. Like I'm not writing time codes down. I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking at Twitter. I just saw Josh Perry tweet out his first round leaders. He's got Bobby Mack and Hughes. I feel like it's a sign.
It's on the card. I'm absolutely adding it 1000%. No, I enjoy being a guest as well. It's very fun. And I want to thank you for putting out appointment viewing for me every week. And it's nice to link up and for you to come on TIB. And I appreciate everything you do for the industry.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for reaching out and asking me.
Yeah, of course. I was like, Major, got to have a big guest. And I'm glad that it could be a little bit different for you, because I know you said you don't get the invite all the time, which is very odd to me.
I get, as you mentioned, people just think that I'm busy. I'm not really that busy.
Yeah, it's fun just doing content. So I appreciate everyone who checked it out tonight. It was a great pod. Excited for the PGA Championship, and I hope everyone has a great night.